Glad you could join us. Now, videos are circulating on social media depicting physical abuse of some residents of Sigani in the Bunu region. The people are being assaulted for not wearing black attire as Sigani prepares to hold the final funeral rites of its queen mother. Nanaya Nyama Pudo II died in September 2019. Watch the following video. We've been joined on the line by correspondent Precious Semevo for more details. Precious, give us some more background on this.
Well, Daniel, this unfortunate incident is related to the funeral arrangement of the late Nanaya Nyama Pudo. In fact, she died in August 1st, 2019. She was 64. Now, the Traditional Council, as part of the funeral arrangement, issued directives that throughout the funeral activities, which is this week, and the burial activities Friday night into Saturday morning, everybody within the Sunyani Traditional Council is to wear black or funeral attire, either black or red. And for that matter, anyone who is seen going contrary to this will be, called to question. Now, the police are supposed to be working hand in hand with the Abrafo or the traditional warriors. But it appears that the traditional warriors are going to the stream where they are attacking and abusing people who are seen not in funeral clothes. And those people could be either visitors coming into town who probably may not have an idea of what is happening. So indeed, this happened in Sunyani. If you know Sunyani very well, the funeral is taking place at the Chief's Palace, which is on the Sunyani Kenyase Road. So on that stretch up to Cocoa House, through to the Central Business District of Sunyani, to the Sunyani Coronation Park, and then Sunyani Secondary Technical School, Tastek area. Those appears to be the areas where the traditional warriors are moving particularly. Now, there's this building which is adjacent to the Sunyani Coronation Park, which happens to be the house of the mother of the late Nanaya Nyama Pudo. So the warriors or the Abrafo indeed are patrolling there, and if they see anyone who is not in traditional clothes, that person is abused. But it is contrary to what the Traditional Council of Sunyani made the general public aware. We were not told that people will be abused, people will be beaten when they are seen wearing anything than traditional clothes. So it is not clear whether it is a backside directive from the Traditional Council or it is the traditional warriors or the Abrafo who appears to have taken the law into their own hands. So indeed, the funeral is on, running from the entire week. It started last night. To be specific, it's running. The body is in state today, tomorrow, Friday, where the president and a former president are all expected to mourn with the Traditional Council of Sigani.
Precious, if the Traditional Council did not say that people will be abused if they don't wear black, what did they say? Did they warn of any punishment or any sort of penalty for not wearing black?
Well, as it stands now, there is no official communique from the Traditional Council reacting to the video which is trending since yesterday. But what I can say is that the police command in Sunyani, I'm aware from my sources within the police that they are preparing to meet the Traditional Council so that they can sit down, and then they can also issue directives to the traditional warriors or the Abrafo to ensure that they do not go beyond their limits.
Now, what have your sources been saying about going beyond their limits? Because in one of those videos, we see police officials. I don't know if they are taking part in this activity or they are just condoning what the Traditional Council is doing. Do we have a clear position of the police on this?
Again, the line was not clear, but if I heard you right, the police is yet to officially again respond to 2 or 3 of their men, seen in one of the viral videos, who appeared to be aiding in the abuse of those who are wearing funeral clothes. So the police is yet to officially respond to that, but in the course of time, we'll be getting the official position of the police, whether that is also a directive from the police or those individual policemen are going beyond their limits.
Thank you very much, Precious Semevo, for those updates. And if you heard Precious, the police will be meeting with the traditional authorities to come to a decision on how these laws, traditional rules are going to be enforced. Also, police has not officially communicated on the those officials seen in the video who appear to be beating these persons who are being accused of flouting some customs. Still live on JoyNews today. Now, the Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy ASEP, Ben Boakye, has condemned gaps in information flow on the current power situation in the country. This follows complaints from a section of the public about unannounced power outages. The Ministry of Energy has explained that major repair works on the gas pipeline from Nigeria to Ghana is causing the interruptions in power being experienced currently in some parts of Ghana. According to the Ministry of Energy, the repair works were almost complete, and by the end of the first week of March 2020, power supply will return to normal. Listen to some residents from across the country complaining about the situation.
It's not easy. It's not easy at all. They should come plain and tell us that from this time to this time, we are not getting light. But it seems Ghanaians, we have forgotten. The meter boss told us point blank that we will have this year, light will go off. So we should start tightening our belt.
This started about first week in January.
Okay.
Most times we go off in the night to the following day. It happened 3 days ago, and yesterday was worse.
Wow.
It came 6 good times. It will come, it will go off, on, off, for 6 good times until finally, around 9 something, it went off totally. Amazingly, I called customer care this morning to find out, are they aware that Lashidi was being out since last night? They told me no, they were not aware. Nobody called to complain to them.
As I'm talking to you right now, I'm standing on the Abuade Sea Defense, and I can see the car power. We have 5 thermal plants in Abuade, but we are in the same soup. Hey. Yesterday, as I'm talking to you now, the light just came.
Wow.
Yeah, and as for water, I don't even want to talk about it. As for water, I don't want to talk about it. You have to carry 4 gallons from here to either in Chaban or wherever you find water.
Hey, what was your situation last night in Koforidua?
Oh, last night we had light, but last week we had about 3 lights off. And the situation is that, in fact, you journalists, you must be able to investigate and tell us the truth. If we want to depend upon politicians, this petrol politics, light politics, it will continue.
Now, the Deputy Minister of Energy, William Oreko Edu, spoke on Joy FM yesterday, assuring the situation will soon be resolved.
But I'll cast your mind back a little bit on the 17th of January, 18th, 19th, and 20th. We came out as a ministry to announce to the good people of this country that there was going to be a major works on the pipeline, the 500-kilometer odd pipeline from Nigeria to Ghana, which supplies gas to mainly the Tema enclave. That it was going to clean out what we call pigging, as cleaning out the gas pipeline and to check on the integrity of the inner lining of the gas pipeline. Told Ghanaians that there might well be some interruptions. We did take steps to try and reduce to the barest minimum the interruptions in the power supply. We must also remember that in the government's quest to reduce the tariff regime of electricity in the country, we've asked the power generators to convert as much as possible from the liquid fuels to gas. So when this gas supply, it's 120 million scarf supply from Nigeria to Ghana, that was cut out naturally. We have been experiencing some challenges. But I'm happy to announce to the good people of this country that within the next few days, this whole pigging exercise will come to an end. As a matter of fact, they have completed the cleaning and they are analyzing the data from the pig, the machine that was put through the pipeline. Apologize for the inconvenience that is being caused to Ghanaians, but I will crave your indulgence to let the people, the listeners know, Ghanaians in general know that we're doing something which is necessary, that has to be done, and unfortunately, some of the ramification is what we are experiencing.
But Executive Director of ASEP, Ben Boakye, believes the lack of information on the current power situation is not the best. He spoke on Newsdesk.
We are all blacked out from any data or information that allows us to track how much we shed. So it becomes confidential information with authorities. And as we speak, the public doesn't know how much power is being shared, even though we know that there are challenges and power is being shared.
Why is this being kept away?
We used to have a system. GRICO used to have a website that actually tracks the demand and supply balance. So you could actually see in real time how much power is being generated, and then make decisions out of that. That website has been shut down. As you can't track that through the agencies, Energy Commission, QRC. All of them have been blacked out of the system to track, how much power is actually being generated and what the deficit actually looks like. But the reality is that load is being shed, and we don't have enough power to demand.
It sounds like a deliberate effort to hide something from us, except that this can be hidden, because if there's blackouts, everybody experiences it and we can tell what is happening.
Absolutely, but we can give them the benefit of the doubt once they are prepared to actually speak to it. We may need to get to them to ask why, the public doesn't have that kind of information, and why we are not being told specifically what the timelines look like, for us to ensure this kind of intermittent supply.
So when you hear the assurances that this will all be resolved and will return to normalcy in March, do you actually believe it?
We can only hope, because we don't have the true data. We don't have enough information to be able to come to that conclusion. But like we just said, this is a shutdown that we knew was going to happen. We knew that the pipeline was going to be cleaned in January, and we could have prepared for it. We do have a lot of dual fuel plants around. The KTP could have, used light crude oil.
Away from power and to our roads. He was a fast-rising hip-life music star, with his song Wupe Dodo still enjoying massive airplay on radio stations, but that would last for a short time as a 2013 accident brought all of that to a halt. In our Arrive Alive campaign to stop crashes on Ghana's roads, we bring you the story of Isaac Okyere, popularly known as YALLPSYCHO, who has now abandoned his hip-life music career and now preaches the word of God at lorry stations and churches as a fulfillment of his promise to God for saving him.
Kill the beat, spoil the best shit.
Isaac Okyere, popularly known as YALLPSYCHO, describes this as his breakthrough song in the Ghanaian music industry. It was a hit song back in 2011.
so be your Christoni or bread and wasia, so be your Christoni or bread your cron, so be your Christoni.
It is a busy day at the Michelle Camp bus terminal in Tema. YALLPSYCHO is evangelizing in a white Sprinter. This has been his routine after he recovered from the crash on the motorway 7 years ago. It was around 12 a.m. on the 14th April 2013. YALLPSYCHO was returning home from a meeting with a friend. Once he strapped his seat belt, he dozed off. He says he heard his friend complaining about a taxi driver who was dangerously overtaking him on the motorway.
And so later I asked my friend what happened, and he said he was speeding on the motorway, and a taxi driver came from behind and overtook him. You know? So in the process of swerving, he lost control, and the car got off the road, somersaulted like 3 times and landed on its head like that. Yeah, so doctor said that whilst I was in the car upside down like that in seat belts with head injuries and arm injuries and bleeding, one of my neck bones had broken, and the broken neck bone was 1 inch away from my respiratory system, my neck here, and if I had pressed on it, I would have lost my breath in seconds. You know, so 1 inch away from death, God gave me a second chance. Came back for my next checkup. Doctor now said that the bone is shifting, and it's shifting towards my brain vein. The vein connecting my brain to my spinal cord, and if it touches it, it will paralyze me.
He had never read the Bible, but one day in his room, a voice directed him to read Psalm 103, verse 3. That, he says, was the beginning of his transformation journey and his promise to God that he will forever serve him if he is healed.
I was home and praying, Lord, heal me. If you heal me, I won't go back. If you give me a miracle, I will be a testimony for you. I will do your will. That which you want me to do is what I will do. So I was praying like that. And then one Sunday, I woke up from my sleep, and I was about sitting up on my bed, and then suddenly it dropped in my spirit, read Psalms. So I picked up the Bible, and when I opened the Bible, it came to the right side of my ear, my right ear. It came to me 103 verse 3. So that I checked Psalm 103 verse 3, and it says, "Who forgives all your iniquities, who heals all your diseases." And I was like, wow. My brother said there was this prophet coming to their church, so they want to convey me there. So they carefully conveyed me to the church, and there was an anointing service, and the prophet called for us to come to the front and worship together. And by faith, I also rose and went there and were worshiping. For the first time, the presence of God was all over. I felt it, and I became so heavy, and I fell for the first time. You're healed. So I called my doctor. This is what happened at church today. I want to come for a checkup. He said, come to, and he said, come the following day. It was a Monday. I went. He took the first x-ray. He couldn't talk. He didn't say anything for like 30 minutes. He wrote another request. I went. I brought it. It was an x-ray, bigger scan. He took me to his office and stayed it. And then he said, this is complex. Let us stop the operation. No need to go back home. No need to do the operation again. Go back home. I asked him, is he healed? He said, yeah, you're okay. He couldn't explain further. He just told me this is complex. You know, so let us stop the operation. And then he started asking me about church and God.
YALLPSYCHO believes he was saved by God and his seatbelt. He is also urging drivers to be cautious on the roads.
Yeah, the seatbelt helped. The seatbelt helped. My friend also would have been hurt, you know, but because of the seatbelt, if I wasn't in seatbelt, I would have gone out of the car or I would have died. I would have died, yeah.
You're live on JoyNews today. Now, a woman who has refused to vacate an unhygienic, filthy cooking joint at a suburb of Kumasi faces legal action after the sanitation enforcement team stormed the insanitary cooking hub at Dr. Menta, a suburb of Kumasi, today. A bench warrant has also been issued for the arrest of 8 women found operating from the same environment 2 months ago, but have failed to appear before the ASEP District Court. Food found at the place was seized by the team. The team also stopped trading for hours, forcing traders at the busy commercial area to sweep the whole environment. We will bring that story later, but Speaker of Parliament, Professor Isaac Okyere, is threatening members of the Parliamentary Press Corps with sanctions if in future they leave the chamber to cover news conferences by members of either side of the House when proceedings are on. He says their accreditation to cover the house could be withdrawn. Majority Leader Osei Mensah-Bonsu a while ago criticized the media on the House for not staying in the chamber when the MPs debated the stoner, but rather attended a briefing by Elembele MP Emmanuel Amoako on the State of the Nation address. Joseph Gakpo joins us with details. Now, Joseph, how is the House reacting to this?
Funny enough, the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, backed the position of Osei Mensah-Bonsu. On Osei's complaint was that he didn't see why, instead of debating the issues on the floor, a minority MP spoke to the press outside Parliament, and the media abandoned the chamber to go listen to him on the issue. And Haruna Idrisu made a point supporting the majority leader that the media should be guided by the situation that has unfolded and avoid doing things that are not exactly what Parliament wants and not covering proceedings in the chamber itself. There were further reactions. The Speaker gave a directive on this. In fact, he summoned the meeting later this afternoon and indicated that he would want to meet the Dean of the Parliamentary Press Corps, the Director of Public Affairs, as well as other leaders to discuss the matter further. But in concluding on his thoughts on this, Professor Okyere cautioned and warned the media that if they continue to abandon proceedings in the chamber itself in future and focus on things outside the chamber, they should remember that they are strangers in the House and that the media remains guests to the House and that their right to continue reporting could actually be withdrawn.
Right. So, Joseph, if I could hear you clearly, the minority leader of the House feels the parliamentary press corps should not have covered the minority news conference.
Haruna Idrisu made the point that he actually backed the position of the majority leader, as he puts it, but that the media's reaction on the issue should actually be guided by Osei Mensah-Bonsu's conduct when he was minority leader, virtually making the point that Osei Mensah-Bonsu did the same thing when he was minority leader. But even as he rounded up, he made the point that this is a caution that the media should take seriously and avoid situations where they are not covering other things in Parliament aside proceedings in the chamber, which some members of the press corps have rightly made the point is not exactly exciting and doesn't really draw the news. For example, yesterday's conversation, which has actually generated this whole brouhaha, had to do with the one-sided debate on the State of the Nation address that was actually being done by just the majority MP.
Now, Joseph, has the debate on the State of the Nation address continued today?
It has.
Did the minority take part in the debate?
The Deputy Minister for Education, Dr. Yawede, and the Chairman of the Education Committee have all been contributing to the discussion, drawing attention to how various government policies in the education sector, like the free senior high school program, are self-developed Ghana.
Is the minority taking part in today's debate, Joseph?
They are not. They are not.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Joseph Gakpo, for joining us today from Parliament. Now, a three-day meeting of health experts from different countries and organizations working in malaria prevention, control and elimination in the sub-region has opened in Accra. The Rollback Malaria RBM Partnership meeting is seeking, among other things, to review the seasonal malaria chemo prevention SMC intervention rolled out by some African countries, including Ghana, to help fight the prevalence of malaria. There's more in the following report.
According to the World Health Organization, malaria is the main public health problem in the world, especially sub-Saharan Africa. The most affected groups are infants and children under 5 years. Several interventions, such as intermittent preventive treatment of malaria in infant and pregnant women, indoor residual spraying, the use of insecticide-treated bed nets, have been introduced to help reduce the infection rate in Ghana. Despite these interventions, malaria is still a leading cause of death in children and pregnant women in Ghana. In 2014, the Malaria Control Board of Ghana implemented a seasonal malaria chemo prevention intervention in the Upper West region. a preventive drug recommended by the WHO as an additional tool which has shown to be effective, safe and feasible in preventing malaria among children under 5 years of age. Programs Manager of the National Malaria Control Program, Dr. Kezia Mam, says the seasonal malaria chemo prevention has helped reduce malaria cases and plans are in place to extend it to other parts of the country.
So our latest data, when the regions were divided and we looked at the seasonality of the disease, was that Oti region, some parts of Oti region also have very seasonal malaria. So once we are able to identify the resources and get the resources, we are likely to increase the coverage of SMC to that region in the next grants. I think it's always challenging getting to people in their homes. So there are areas that are hard to reach. And because it's implemented in the rainy season, sometimes some areas get cut off and we have to use all means, quite difficult to reach these people. So probably we'll learn lessons. Is it possible to even send everything ahead of time and let the community members there? But even when you send the things ahead of time, you need a health worker at the highest level to supervise. So that's one thing. And we've had a few cases where people may reject because it's a medicine, but that is on the very low side.
The Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumar-Boaji, says government is working hard to sustain the gains made in malaria control.
Parasite-based diagnosis and treatment using artemisinin-based combination therapy, along with cross-cutting interventions such as research, surveillance, monitoring, evaluation, advocacy, social and behavioral communication. Ladies and gentlemen, in addition to this, Ghana incorporated WHO recommended seasonal malaria chemo prophylaxis, chemo prevention for children under 5 as an additional intervention in the strategic plan of malaria control between the years of 2014 and 2020.
The Rollback Malaria Partnership is a global health initiative created to implement coordinated action against malaria. The group mobilizes for action and resources and forges consensus among partners to deal with malaria.
Helping them with partners and all involved in that good intervention of SMC to sit down, review the planification, review the updates of achievements, and review some challenges and propose solution and way forward, especially for this year campaign and for the next 2 years campaign. There is still some challenges, for example, in terms of coverage. There still needs to cover more children. Secondly, there is some challenges regarding of drugs and availability of drugs when we're implementing the SMC, especially in terms of quantity and quality. And we can say also there is also a big one, this is a funding challenges.
This is live on JoyNews today with me, Daniel Daze. Emmanuel Abuajiri is next with business.